Alright, what is up, everybody? Just wanted to bring a replay of a duel I had. I've been playing the Legend Anthology event in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel lately. And, yeah, this was a duel I had. I am, I think, currently a Silver 5, and this is a Gold 4 player. He is playing the... What is the name of the deck? It's essentially an Arcana Knight Joker deck, but it's one of the, I think, loner decks in the event right now. It has a lot of Kings, Queens, and Jacks Knights, and then multiple Arcana Knight Jokers, the Link version of that monster, and then I think like a Blackluster Soldier Link. Trying to think what other cards it has. It basically and it has all the modern support cards for those cards as well. I'm playing a deck that I made myself, kind of a more old school style deck, kind of a hybrid of Dark Magician and Blue Eyes White Dragon. So yeah, I guess we'll start this duel out. So my first hand, I get Mirror Force, Raigeki, Mahad, Gaia, and Blue Eyes White Dragon. So initially, my first play is probably just going to be play Gaia. So he links into Hip Hoshinigan with his Queen's Knight and his, I think it was it his King's Knight he used? I think it was. So I draw Dark Magician here, and I set Mirror Force immediately, but I didn't read the card effect here, so I actually lose 400 attack and defense because Arisen Gaia is a dark monster, so I actually am in a position now where the best I can do is trade. I didn't... Unfortunately, I drew this card in my first hand. The benefit, obviously, to this card is if you draw it, you can reveal it and then special summon it. Because I drew it in my first hand, it turns into a brick, which is a bit unfortunate because I have two other cards I can't summon right now, and you know I really would have. If I had a Polymerization, I think I would have been in pretty good shape early in this duel because I could have gone into Dark Cavalry. I'll show you guys kind of what I have as my extra deck right now, but got Chimera Attack, Gaia, Dark Paladin, Buster Blader, Dark Cav, Blue Eyes Tyrant, Dark Magicians, First of Dragons. Some different cards, a couple synchros as well, because I have some tuners. Not many, I think like 4 tuners in my deck, but I have a couple tuners if I want to go into tuners, or not tuners, but synchros as well. So yeah, so my first play immediately gets kind of trumped. I thought, okay, I'm going to play Gaia and destroy this card at least, and I'll have Mirror Force in my back row, depending on what he combos into next turn. But immediately I'm like, shit, I'm not in a great position. So what I do is I attack the card, so we trade, but obviously its effect, I think, allows him to, target one light monster, so he draws. I think he got a Queen's Knight, I think it was. Throws Jacks away, and he kept doing this combo throughout the entire duel. He kept having his Joker's Knight, essentially. What he would do is he would send one of the cards from his... either from his hand or from his deck to the graveyard. And obviously, you can see it says Jack's Knight, even though it's Joker's Knight, so it can mimic one of the other cards, essentially. And he was doing that basically so he could play it, but also so he could set up his fusion summons, by getting Queens, Jacks, and King's Knight together. So he plays 2 cards here. I'm obviously left vulnerable. I have Mirror Force, so he fortunately attacks into Mirror Force, doesn't have anything to really stop it, so I do manage to destroy both those cards. So that kind of just ends his turn. As you can see, he's basically he keeps regurgitating his cards. He's able to sort of just continually recycle them. So even in a situation where it seems like I should have card advantage, right? I destroyed 2 monsters, with that Mirror Force, he essentially was able to just put them back into his deck, and he still basically has had equal card advantage to me, despite having 3 cards in his graveyard. I draw Ancient Rules, which is nice. Allows me to get the Blue Eyes White Dragon out of my hand now. I could have played the Dark Magician, but I didn't see any reason not to just play the Blue Eyes here for the maximum amount of damage. So I play Ancient Rules. I set Raigeki face down. Now, unfortunately, he has the one Kuriboh in his deck. I did check his deck list after this match. That he only has one Kuriboh, and he just happened to have that right now when I would have had a clean 3,000 damage, which, believe me, that damage would have come in handy later in this duel when it gets really, really tight. So yeah, so using Imperial Bower, he's able to bring out Queen and King's Knight, and then he also has Jack's Knight, and then he poly summons. This seems sped up because I'm pretty certain he didn't do it this fast. In real time, this took like 2 minutes for him to do this. He like played one card, then he was like thinking, then he played another card, then he was thinking, then he played another card, then he played the poly. So he gets Arcana Knight Joker, and unfortunately, my Blue Eyes can't stand up to it. It gets destroyed. And now I'm in a weird, and unfortunate, and he also had managed to have his one Monster Reborn, which was also the only one in his deck. He managed to also draw that within his first 10 cards. So now he has a Blue Eyes White Dragon and Arcana Knight Joker, which looks really bleak for me. Basically, and then I draw Odd Eyes Advanced Dragon, which was which was unfortunate because again I just drew another card that I can't play. Now, hold on. Let me read the effect of this. Fusion Summon can only be done with the above materials once per turn when a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated that targets this face-up card on the... Oh! So it has to be a direct target card. So that's why... So when I figured Raigeki was going to get negated by this, I figured what he was going to be able to do is he could just discard a spell card, although maybe he didn't even have a spell card in his hand. That's possible. But I think Raigeki actually gets past the effect of this card because it's not a specific target. It destroys all monsters. So I flip Raigeki here, sort of praying that I'm able to at least sort of negate the advantage he just got, and I did. Thank God. Very cheap. I know it's a cheap card, but, you know, he managed to have Monster Reborn at the right time, and does the same combo again, manages to get another 3,500 damage. I'm down to 3,700 points here. So things are looking a little rough. I do manage to draw Alector, and this was very clutch. There's some other cards I could have drawn that would have helped. A Cyber Dragon would have been good as well. Because I could have special summoned it, and then I could have... And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Odd Eyes, because I special summon this card. I can tribute summon for Odd Eyes Advanced Dragon, because it's a level 5 or higher monster. So I was able to summon Alector because these are both warrior monsters. If these weren't both warriors, I might have been in trouble. I probably would have lost, assuming he draws a card that he could play and do damage to me the next turn. So I managed to... I play Alector. I essentially cancel the ability. It doesn't really matter. I just played the card to get it out there. I destroy that, do 2,000 damage, and then I hit Queen's Knight and do a 1,500 damage. So he's at 4,500, and I was able to also, with its effect, summon Mahad out onto the field in defense position. I figured why not. It has an effect, so if I at least although I don't think he had a single dark monster in his entire deck, so Mahad didn't particularly match up well against this deck. But yeah. So, this looks like a great position, but this card brings him back into the game. So, essentially, if he controls no monsters, let's see, he could special summon one Queen's Knight from your hand. You can banish up to one. Yeah, this is the effect he was using. So what he was doing is, as you've noticed the whole duel, he's been recycling cards constantly. He's essentially banishing cards from his graveyard and also his... I think he banishes from his graveyard, and every time he banishes a King's, Queen's, or Jack's Knight from the graveyard, he can draw a card. So he... Even though it looked like I was in a good position here, look, he discarded 3 cards. There you go, he just draws 3. Just drew 3 right there. So he's down to 1,500 life points, but he just drew 3 cards. And he still has a card face down as well. So I'm a little nervous right now. Even though I'm in a good position, I don't know what he just drew. And like you can see, he gets Joker's Knight out. And this turn, is where things look really bleak for me. He continues to recycle stuff. He's already at 5 cards again. He's throwing more cards into his graveyard. Manages to go double King's Knight, as well as he's got the Queen's Knight, Jack's Knight out. He uses Reinforcement of the Army, I think, to bring Imperial Bower into his hand. Then he also plays his combo, which allows him to play Arcana Knight Joker. He plays another card face down, so he's got 2 cards face down in his back row, plus this card is still going. I somehow managed to not draw a single card. I have, like, 6 or 7 cards that can destroy back row in my deck, and this game, I don't think I drew one of them at all at any point. Harpy's Feather Duster would have been amazing at this point, but... So he destroys my Odd Eyes, unfortunately. Does 800 damage to me here. And it looks really fucking grim for me at this point. It looks very grim. But what I actually do end up doing, and I attack here. So what he actually does with this card as well. So, let's see, the effect becomes spells effect, cards activated, send 1 spell for your deck to the graveyard, just list all of the, okay. So he uses this, essentially, and then he uses the second effect of it. You can target 1 light warrior monster in your graveyard, shuffle into your deck, and if you do, add this card to your hand. He also, I think he uses that effect as well. But as you can see here, essentially what he starts doing is, because of some of the effects, as well as, you know, King's Knight's effect to be able to play Jack's Knight, what he does is he essentially loads up his field. Now, he didn't have a card to fuse any of these together just yet. Thank God, because if he had 2 Arcana Knight Jokers at the same time, I would have lost this duel. I would have had no way of winning, essentially, because I think the highest attack point monster in my entire extra deck is... I think it's 3,000. I don't think I have a monster above 3,000 attack. Other than Gaia the Magical Knight of Dragons, who can get up to 5,200 attack with his ability, but obviously, for me, he's a kind of a hard monster to play because I only have, I think, 2 level 5 dragons in my whole deck. So I don't play him that often. So I essentially don't have a way to out this card in a straight-up fight. So it looks really bleak. So what I do is I had a Metal Reflex Slime in defense mode, and I had Mahad. At first, I had Mahad attack King's Knight, but then I decided, because I saw what he was doing, with all those monsters, I wasn't going to be able to stop him. He's got 5 monsters. I only had 2 cards to defend my life points. I wasn't going to be able to play defense. And if anything, he was probably going to be able to combo into another Arcana Knight Joker and essentially finish me off on the next turn. So I take a bit of a gamble. I know that I only have 1 Blue Eyes White Dragon in the grave, which means I still have 2 more in my deck. So what I do is I recycle. I use Rage with Eyes of Blue. I banish all of these cards. But essentially what it allows you to do is banish as many cards as you can from your hand, field, and graveyard. And if you do, you could special summon up to 3 copies of Blue Eyes. So I think I throw Dark Magician out. So what I managed to do, and I throw a bunch of cards out, by the way. I think every card in my graveyard I toss is essentially banished now. What that allows me to do is I can summon every copy of Blue Eyes I have from my deck. So I managed to get 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons from my deck. And what that does is, yeah, okay, he's throwing out more cards to try and save himself. But, you know, even though he has 3 cards here, the problem is because he didn't combine his monsters together, they have all these weak attack point values, and I have 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons, so I win. I was pretty shocked I actually managed to pull this off. I thought I was doomed. I hit both of the King's Knights. I could have hit the Jack's Knight as well, but the Queen's Knight was in defense position, so it wouldn't have mattered. But I end up winning. That was a crazy tough game. This guy is like a full tier above me rank-wise, so I was pretty surprised I was able to pull that one out. It was a pretty good game, though. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you whenever I make another video. So, bye-bye.